Hello, Brian. How are you? Hello, hello, hello. Everybody's coming in all at the same time.
Yay, you're back.
I am. I'm here.
Woo.
I'm just trying to get everything going for our class. Where is Power School?
So, fun fact, I just got lizards.
Lizards?
Yes.
Like voluntarily?
Not store-bought lizards. They were my mom was doing some gardening and accidentally uprooted their home.
Uh-huh.
So we made them a home.
Oh.
And now they're my pet.
Wow. How many do you have? Oh.
They don't like coming out in the daytime. They're nocturnal, apparently.
How many are in there?
I think there's 3.
Oh.
I don't know where the third one went.
Oh, well, that's a fun game.
Yes. They usually hide underneath the log, and I just fed them last period. And he's also my cricket.
Oh.
I feed them 3 crickets every day now. I've only done it for 2 days.
Well, they're probably happy for the regular diet.
Yeah. Instead of having to look for it.
Yeah. They're like, man, we should have done this the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. We had to get rid of the big ones because the big ones, though they're easier to feed, it's just we don't want them to live the rest of their lives in a cage.
Ah, I see.
And these ones will last longer, and you don't have to feed them as much, and they'll get bigger eventually. We're keeping them until the summer.
Ah.
But if we end up liking them enough, we will keep them until they live a long, good lizard life.
That's very cute.
Yeah. I have to use this thing, and I have to mist it to mist their cage so that they can get water, and so it's like a humid climate.
Oh, wow. So you've done a lot of research on these guys, huh?
Yeah, it was just a WikiHow search.
Well, still, though. I mean,
Yeah. We put a little plant in there. We put a lot of places where they can hide. 2 of the lizards are named Dolan, and then one of them's name is Stubbs.
2 of them have the same name?
Yes.
All right.
I'm very uncreative with my names. I don't want to have to name all of them. 2 of them are named Dolan, and one of them is named Stubbs. The only reason one of them is named Stubbs is because he's lost a leg.
Oh, jeez.
He's a 3-legged lizard.
It's wild.
Yeah. They don't do much.
There was one of those little salamanders in my house the other day, and my cat got a hold of it, and it snapped its tail off, to get away.
Yeah.
Then I had to get Tupperware under the sofa to try to save it so I could put it outside.
Oh no, the poor lizard.
Yeah, I think it had some sort of crisis.
It had a midlife crisis, and
it almost had an end of life crisis. It's a little life flashed before its eyes.
The cat was like, I want to eat that.
Yeah, anytime I see her going after something in a corner, I got to get over there as quick as I can because she's cornered a snake, she's cornered this lizard, she's my little hunter.
Yeah. Those hunting instincts can't just go away.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I'm going to wait just a couple more minutes, but while I'm waiting, if you guys can please flash on your cameras at least momentarily so that I know that you are here, I would appreciate it. Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you, Zanette. Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Louise. Thank you, Mia. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Cameron. Thank you, Victor. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Mildred. Thank you, Tyler. And of course, Emma. I got to open this in Nearpod. I got to get into the habit of logging into Nearpod instead of going to my Google Drive. So a few of you, I know, were confused about what was going on. I was hoping that there would be a substitute, but there wasn't, which is why there was nobody here for you. So I apologize for that. If you didn't see the email, I would like you guys, here's the link for today, so go ahead and click on that, to please go ahead and do the test, okay? So if you haven't done the test, please go ahead and do the test. So that, not today, like not in class, but make sure to do it. If you are unsatisfied with your grade, of course, you can retake it. Just send me an email and let me know that you would like to retake it, and I will make that happen for you, okay? Again, as we get people, here is the Nearpod link, so go ahead and click on that. Those of you who are at school, I think Colin's at school, you can go ahead and turn your camera back off because it stresses the what you do at campus out. I think Ahmed, are you at school too? You can go ahead and turn your camera off as well. Alyssa, okay, same thing. Perfect, no problem. So we're going to go ahead and get started today. Oh, I hope it saved the changes that I made. Yes, Madeline, you can. Hopefully it saved the changes that I made in Nearpod. I guess we'll find out. It didn't. Okay. Let me see if I can save it real quick. Well, just a second. Let me try to save it and I'll give you a new link. Because I just edited it because I didn't know, of course, when I made this that we were going to have, we were only going to have 50 minutes. So I got rid of a couple of things, but it didn't save it to Nearpod. Oh, well. When we get to the parts that I edited, I'll just let you know. So for instance, the do now is going to be your homework, okay? So this do now slide, I want you to put this in your journals, but this is going to be your homework for today. So your homework for today is to do this. Yeah, if I'm lagging, you don't have to ask permission. If I'm lagging, you can turn your camera off. I don't want you to have to like try to figure out what the heck I'm saying. You have to go to the Nearpod link, right? So you have to go to the Nearpod link. So click on that to open Nearpod. We're going to try out Nearpod again. Oh, sorry, I sent that to Mia privately to everyone. Here's the Nearpod link. So make sure that you're on that. I'll go back to the very beginning. So you're due now for this. Where else have we talked about religious institutions using theater? Has this been common or uncommon? I want you to put that in your journals, but I want you to do that for homework, okay? So make sure that you do that later today, all right? Okay, so today we're gonna talk about medieval theater, and we're gonna talk about it starting with the fall of Rome and the rise of what we call the Dark Ages. Has anybody ever heard this before, the Dark Ages? Or knows why it's called the Dark Ages? Yes, but no, you have heard of it, but you don't know why it's called that. Okay, Emma, yeah, what's you've heard of it before?
I've heard of it, and I think I know what it is.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
might be wrong.
What do you think it is?
I think it's a time when there wasn't that many real technological advances, or there
Right.
wasn't really that many changes that happened.
Yeah, you're right. So what basically, for those of you who have just joined us, here's the Nearpod link. Um, so basically what the Dark Ages refers to is a period of time, right? Rome, remember how big Rome was, right? So when Rome fell apart, all of a sudden you have all these places that no longer have like a centralized government, right? So the Dark Ages is about this time when people had other priorities than art. They were trying to like build a brand new government. In some places, they were trying to create like a whole new language, um, money, right? So there wasn't really much happening as far as like technological advances or um, literary works or theater or anything because everybody had to kind of recover from this huge country collapsing. So kind of imagine if the central government of the United States collapsed and now it's the states who have to do everything, right? It would be a big deal, right? So it's kind of like that. All right. Oh, Mildred, that's funny. Medieval times. Yeah. Okay. So this is just a brief thing that I wanted to cover some big moments during this period. Okay. So the first thing we have in 632 is the death of the prophet Muhammad. And this is significant because it kind of created more tension between Islam and Christianity, right? So in 800, Charlemagne is crowned the Holy Roman Emperor, and he sort of sets up what's going to cause the Crusades to begin. All right. So, what were the Crusades? Does anybody know what the Crusades were?
I think I do.
Okay. Go
Um,
ahead.
I think. Can I answer or
Mhm. Yeah, go
should?
ahead.
I think the Crusades were when they started like going into other places and trying to get more land or like get more supplies and stuff.
It's a little bit more specific than that. Does anybody know what the sort of specific goal of the Crusades were?
Can I say what I think it is?
Yeah, Victor, of course.
Wasn't it like a military campaigns kind of?
Yes. Yep. Military campaign is a good way to do it. It was specifically about the Holy Land. So they're specifically looking at a fight over basically the area of Israel that was the home of Jesus. And so there was a conflict between this new like Roman Catholic church and the Islamic community there, right? So there's a conflict that's happening. And so people were journeying from England all the way to the Middle East um, and for this war. Yeah. Okay. And then we get to 1347 and we have the Black Death. So what was the Black Death? I know Emma knows it. I know you guys know this one. The bubonic plague, a plague, a plague. Yes, 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 yes. Correct. So that hits, right? It wipes out, I want to say it was like 30% of Europe's population were wiped out during that time. And of course, you know, it was not really dissimilar in a way to what's happening now, except for the fact that they had literally no idea how to combat it, right? They didn't even know where it was really coming from. And so that hits and it really like devastates the population of Europe. Um, yeah, plague doctors, right? And we've seen a bunch of the masks and stuff coming back now. They didn't really know how to treat it. They didn't really know where it was coming from. And some of the stuff that happened around that time is wild if you like look into it. Some of the things that they tried to do to prevent the spread is pretty crazy. So I'm just basically setting up like some things that it's good for you to know. Okay, so let's do a collaborate board. Okay. Oh, we've already talked about this, so don't worry about that one. Just what do you know about the Crusades? We sort of talked about what that was. All right. Okay, so but now let's talk about, so that's like yeah, exactly, Emma. It was the fleas, really. Let's talk about European theatrical history. Okay, so we've looked at the history in Europe and what was going on. Now let's look at specifically the history of theater, right? So let's see, Zanette, can you read this slide for us?
So in 505 CE, actors banned and defamed by church.
Yep.
In 1950 CE, Hero
It's Roswitha. The H is silent.
Roswitha writes religious comedies.
So she's a nun, by the way.
1050 CE, Feast of Fools performed by clergy, and in 1150 CE, plays about biblical stories popularized.
Correct. Okay, so you can see here that in like a 600-year period, we go from like actors are banned and actors are bad to, well, plays maybe aren't that bad if they're about the Bible, right? So yeah, Roswitha was a nun. So we actually have a nun who brings theater back, right? And she's writing about religion, but she's also writing about comedy because she knows that one of the easiest ways to get people to listen to your message is if it is in a way that's fun, right? The Feast of Fools. Has anybody heard of the Feast of Fools before? No? So, yeah, Emma, go ahead.
I don't know much about the Feast of Fools, but I do know based off the Hunchback of Notre Dame, they had the Feast of Fools.
Okay. That's true. I forgot about that.
And
go
it's
ahead.
like they tried to be like who's the funniest or who has the ugliest costume or like just a bunch of shenaniganery.
Yeah, it started out a little bit different from that. It was actually kind of like a topsy-turvy day where basically like everybody who was in the church would do like the opposite job of what they would normally do, right? So it was like the people who were really high up got to do like the really low jobs and they would like intentionally do it really bad. And the people who were brand new would get like the jobs that were super important and they would do it really bad, you know? So it was like supposed to be this day that was like, that everybody got to sort of celebrate, right? And then we get to 1150 and we're having plays that are popular being written about biblical stories. And this is going to be important for a couple of reasons. So this is called liturgical drama. Okay. So let's see. Mia, can you read this slide for us? Does your mic work?
Written in Latin, these plays were often short stories from the Bible or about the saints, included in services. While some of these skits were performed during service, many were not.
Good, excellent. So it's written about the Bible or about saints, right? Not necessarily written to be done in church, although some of them were, okay? And by that, I mean that some of them were written and never actually performed, right? They were just written to be read by the clergy or to be read by people who could read Latin, right? Now, this is going to be important, though. The idea that they're written in Latin is going to be really important because Latin was not what the majority of people during this time spoke, right? Only the people who could go to school who were educated in the church, which is basically where you got your education, those were the only people who knew Latin. So if you were just sort of an average farmer, you would have no idea what that was, right? So just keep that in the back of your mind. Okay, so now we're going to talk about 3 different types of plays: mystery, miracle, and morality. Okay. Now, this next slide has a lot of text on it. You don't have to write down everything. In fact, I'd encourage you just probably to take a sort of a screenshot of them. But this is basically about what's different about them. Okay. All right. So let's see. Madeline, can you read what mystery plays were about?
Stories taken from the Bible. Actors were priests or monks. People moved from one stage to the next. Play ended at church with a sermon.
A sermon, yeah, exactly. Okay, so these are done by the church, right? And you would go around one stage to the next as you watch the stories, and then you end at the church. Let's see, Mildred, can you read us miracle plays?
Miracle plays about the life of a saint, usually about how they become a saint.
Right. So a saint, in order to be a saint, you had to have performed a miracle, right? So the miracle is like talking about what miracle that saint had performed and why they're a saint now. And then we have morality plays. Tyler, go ahead and read us about morality plays.
Designed to teach people a lesson, often authors were anonymous. Characters stand for concepts like humility.
Good, excellent. So these were plays that basically had a moral, right? Like, children's plays, often have, or children's books often have like a moral that they're teaching, right? So the characters were not really people so much as they would be like, lust or envy or humility or friends, right? They would stand for this concept of life. Is it clear the difference between the 3? Yes, Cameron, exactly. That's exactly correct. Is it pretty easy to sort of figure out the difference between the 3 then? Yes? Okay. Good. All right. So that's sort of what I wanted to do on this slide, is just make it very clear about like what sets these plays apart. Okay. So plays were brought back by the church for a simple reason: to use them as a tool to teach religion to the people. So I want you to answer this open-ended question. Are you surprised that the church was the one who brought theater back to Europe? Why or why not? So think about that for a minute. Okay, so we've got, I didn't think someone would bring back something that was banned in their religion. Okay, that's a good point. Yeah. Yes, because wasn't theater the ones who wanted to get rid of it? Oh, they were the ones who wanted to get rid of it in the first place, right? The church has done all sorts of things to force people into their religion and practice for them. I think it's just very them, okay? Good thoughts. I like all of these ideas so far. What else do we have? No, I'm not surprised because theater has had a religious aspect in the past, and it's a good way to get people's attention. Also, a very good point. I'm still waiting on like 75% of the people. Oh, somebody else said something. Not really, because from the beginning, it was very religious. I'm guessing you're talking about theater, right? Yes, because it was gone for a long time. It had been sort of banished, right, for about 600 years. Yeah. I mean, it was sort of underground, right? I'm not really surprised it was the church that brought theater back because it was used to teach religion in many countries before the church. Yep, that's true. People didn't even like church anyways, and what happened there, I was shocked it came back when it was gone for such a long time. Okay. It seems like most of the people who ban fun stuff eventually use it to spread their religion or beliefs. Brian says, no, not really, because it teaches religion. Well, they're making theater to teach religion, right? Yes, because it had vanished and the church brought it back to teach religion to more people. Okay. Got just a couple of you I haven't heard from. Oh, there's one. Theater is a way in which people have fun and learn. Everyone would want to go see it. That would mean that they would use it so people would learn about religion or something similar. Good point. Yeah. So you're right. Why did they use religion? Well, or theater as for religion for two reasons, really. The first one is because what did I say about Latin? How many people during this period really spoke Latin? Not really that many, right? It had to be either you were in the church and you were educated by the church, right, Tyler? Exactly. You had to be either in the church or educated by the church, right? So how would you feel if you had these mandatory religious sessions that you had to go to, and you went and none of it was in the language that you spoke? What would that do to you? Here's a link to the Nearpod. You would be frustrated. Yep. Carla, that's a good point. What else? Would you really learn anything? That's okay, Giselle. You don't have to apologize for being disconnected. It's just something we got to deal with. If I did this whole class in French, would you learn anything? Zanette's shaking her head. No, right? Why not? Louise says yes. But you get the idea, right? But why not? Why wouldn't you learn anything? Because of a language barrier. Yes, Tyler, that's perfect. Okay, so how do they solve that language barrier? Yes, exactly, Hannah, right? Well, Mildred, there's a couple of people who would get it, right? But most of us, it would be, okay, so then let's say I did the whole thing in Latin, right? You wouldn't understand, right? Because there's a language barrier, okay? Same thing with these sermons. They're out there, they're preaching to people in Latin. The people they're preaching to don't speak Latin, right? So they're not getting anything from the sermons. They're just sitting there because they're told to. So they brought back theater to teach about the Bible because people could act it out, right? They could take these little lessons, and at first they were still in Latin, but eventually they're going to put them in like the common language, right? But they would act it out for them. So they could learn the stories by watching the little plays, right? Theater for education. I mean, we do it a lot, right? Even in today's classrooms. So it was pretty smart, not terribly original, as most of you said, right? But it was pretty smart that they figured out, like, if we really want these people to learn what we're trying to say to them, we've got to do it in a way that's interesting and probably in their actual language that they know. Does that make sense? Yeah. Right? It's a lot easier to learn something when A, you know the language, and B, it's interesting to watch and listen to. Okay, excellent. I think you guys get it. Okay, so I want you guys to read an article. Stop at developments of the Renaissance. Okay, so you don't have to read, it's a longer article. I just want you to read the part at the beginning. And then I'm going to post a Nearpod, and I want you to, so there's the article, answer the idea about what kind of special effects were mentioned in the article. So they're talking about staging conventions of the medieval theater. So start at the beginning and stop when you get to developments of the Renaissance. Or actually, you can stop when you get to courtly diversions. We don't really care about that. And as you're reading, you can put the notes in Nearpod about what kind of special effects they mention. I think you'll be surprised at the number of special effects that they use. starting to get some answers in. Thank you. I want you to stop reading when it gets to the courtly diversions. That one, we can stop there. Okay. We've got about information about flying, right? Trapdoors, bones, entrails, a choir loft, curtains.
The name of the website will vary depending on where you get it from. The easiest way to find a speech is just take the speech, Google it, and like I mean, I think the source, the site I first came up to was like military.
Heaven being represented by a mansion with golden light from a torch, right? A mansion for hell that is an opening that lets out smoke and fire and screaming, right? They burn stuff, right, to make it smell realistic if they were burning someone at the stake.
And for the bibliography, the URL at the end. All right, guys, so that's all you gotta do for today. If anytime I don't have the format of
Trapdoors, right? So you could appear out of nowhere. Dummies filled with bones, right?
so that's your next ticket on Schoology. Once you're done with that, you are free to walk off.
Flying used pulleys. Bones and entrails were burned. Gross. Good. Yep. So a pulley system for appearances and disappearances. Where have we heard people doing this before? Where have we heard about them using a pulley system to raise and lower people for entrances and exits? Yes, Tyler. Greek theater. Yes. Yeah, exactly, right? So this is very similar to some of the stuff that they used in spectacle, right? In Greek theater. The wagons, right? Where they could basically like have a moving stage.
But from here on out, we're just gonna do one at a time. So if you need to do it a second time, do it.
So are you surprised by the kinds of special effects that they used? And if so, why are you surprised by them? You're not surprised, Emma? Okay, why not?
Because, I mean, yeah, like you have a loft that represents heaven, and I do like how they use they have more layers and stuff,
Uh-huh.
but it's just like, and the pulley system was we kind of already established the layers in Greek theater.
But they don't have any knowledge of that, really. That's one thing
True.
you have to remember, you know?
Yeah. This is true.
Carla says, yes, they tried to make it really realistic, right? They were really striving to impress people, right? Yeah, you have to remember that they didn't necessarily really know a whole lot about what the ancient Greeks had done, right? So they came up with the same solution, sort of with pulleys and ropes to like raise and lower angels and fly people in and out, right? Is that working for you, Hannah? We'll see if maybe it'll go when I go to the next slide. It was in their reach and it was in the reach of the church, and the church would take it. That's a good idea, Tyler. I never expected there to be actual smells, right? That's like something that we haven't talked about much, right? Have we talked about them, like any other theater using scents before this that you can think of? No, not really, right? I mean, we know that they were burning incense in some of the Indian, like Hindu temples, but we haven't really talked about it as like an actual like part of the theater. It was surprising you didn't expect that. Yeah. Yeah. They're also trying to make hell seem really scary, right? Use fire and screaming and making it smell really bad. Why are they trying to make hell seem so scary? Exactly, Zanette. Motivation, right? You can avoid this so people don't want to go. Yeah. That's true, Carla. Okay, good. You guys are doing great today. All right, yeah, we're going to skip this next Nearpod activity. Can you see it now, Hannah? I'm sort of trimming this down on the fly because we lost 10 minutes. Try reloading it and see if that works. Let me see if I can. Oh, you've reloaded it 5 times. Okay, I'll put it up. I'll share it. Since you can't see it, I'll just share it with you. There you go. Okay, so here's our debate. I want you to think about this, because think about how the church viewed theater and how they brought theater back, and how, we've talked about multiple times about the church banning actors. Do you think that theater is immoral? Or can you sympathize with the church thinking that it was? So it means, to some, it means like evil or sort of negative, leading people astray. Victor says, I don't think it is, but I can see why the church would think that way. Okay. All right.
So I don't think theater itself is immoral. I just think the church saw some of the things that were being shown in it and they didn't like that, because some of it could have been like anti-Christ, or it could have been like, it could have been against the church, or it could have not been showing what they want it to be shown.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't think theater itself is immoral. It's just that for the church, it didn't show what they wanted. Because the church kind of had like full control over like what's going on.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Mildred, you're right. It does bring it back, right? They bring it back when they need it, right? They ban it when it's being used to tell stories that they don't want to be told, right? And then they bring it back when they can use it as a tool. Do you guys see what I'm getting at here? So they bring it back for their own use, right? So this is sort of the cycle that happens. It's hypocrisy. Yes, Victor, you are right. You know, it's like theater is going on, and then it starts to like people start to use theater to speak out against the church. And then, yes, exactly, Hannah, exactly, Mildred. And then the church gets opposed to the theater, right? So they ban it. Then the church brings it back, but they can't really control it, right? Once you start teaching people how to do theater, they're going to start doing it for fun, right? So it starts as an implement for religion, but it doesn't stay that way, right? Because people are going to start making plays about other things for fun. So it's kind of this like continuous cycle where it's like people try to control the theater and then they need the theater, so they bring it back over and over. Victor, church kind of sounded like something else right now. Yeah, this wasn't a great time for a lot of people. You know, you had a lot of stuff working against you at this time, for sure. Okay, so last 5 minutes. You have an exit ticket, okay? Do you think that the church's reversal on theater was inevitable? Why or why not? That's in Schoology, okay? So I want you to go ahead and do that exit ticket on Schoology. And then remember that you have the homework to do in your journal. And I'll put up that slide at the end. Inevitable means that it couldn't be avoided. Sorry, you'll have to forgive me. Sometimes my, I pick like words that are more complicated than I need to. So just want you to think about, was it inevitable? Could they have avoided bringing back theater? And why or why not? So Thanos is inevitable. Yes, Cameron, there you go. So yeah, do the exit ticket and then your journal entry is your homework, all right? So this is really just like a quick introduction to medieval theater. There's a whole lot of stuff that went on. And we do actually have quite a few of the text from this period. It's just that a lot of them are anonymous. And the reason why I say that is because they felt like if they were just adapting stories from the Bible, then they couldn't really take ownership of it, right? Because it's from the Bible. So they wouldn't put their name down on the plays that they wrote. So if you look up any of the plays from this time, with the exception of the comedies from Horst Vita and a few things here and there, you'll find that most of them are just anonymous. Now, this is one of the types of plays that you could do your, just put it in Schoology. If you are interested in this, you could study one of these plays for your playwriting, your little like European theater project that you're going to do. So, you know, if you want to, if this sounds like something that you might be interested in, let me know and I can give you some links, some ideas of some plays that you could potentially read and write about. The most famous one is a play called Everyman. And it's a play about a man who he's going to die. And so he's trying to take things with him to the grave. And he has to sort of reconcile with the fact that, you know, everybody sort of dies alone. I just made it sound way more depressing than it is. It's not that depressing when you read it. So do your exit ticket, and then right now, because we got 2 more minutes, I'm going to go ahead and put the homework up.
Oh, Lord.
There we go. So there's the homework, and I just want you in your journals to write about where else we've discussed religious theater. Okay. So that's basically it. You got an exit ticket and you got a journal entry for homework. So how do we feel? Am I doing better at simplifying my lessons for y'all so far? This was my first practice one.
Yes.
After I got your feedback. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Well, I'm glad. Thank you. I can't promise that they'll all be this good, but I can tell you that I have gone back and I am making a sincere effort. Hannah, I will put a link to it in Schoology. Is it not already in there? Let me see. Oh, wait. If it's not already in there, I will put a link to it in Schoology because yeah, if you click on this medieval link, does it take you to the presentation, Hannah, or do you still get a blank screen? Hannah. Yeah, it should bring it up on that link. Okay, Victor, thank you for trying it. And then you can just scroll through. And then if you have questions, you just let me know.
It's 10:50.
Okay, yep, thank you. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so that's it for today. Bye-bye, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I will see you Thursday or Friday, whatever day it is.
It's Friday.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good day.
You too. Hannah, if you still can't get that to work, send me an email and I'll send you a direct link to my drive, okay? Okay, good. All right, excellent. Bye-bye.